You walk into a room full of strangers. In less than a second, before anyone speaks a word, your brain has already decided who to trust. You didn't choose to do this. You couldn't stop it if you tried. But the real answer for why this happens is far stranger than simple instinct. It starts with the eyebrows, the shape of a jaw, the width between two eyes that have never once looked into yours before. Somehow, from this alone, you build an entire verdict. Friendly, dangerous, honest, untrustworthy. You feel certain about it. You are almost never asked to explain it, and the unsettling part is this: you are often wrong, and you will trust your wrongness completely. Think about the last time you met someone new. A job interview, a first date, a stranger asking for directions on the street. Within a tenth of a second, long before you noticed yourself doing it, some part of your mind had already rendered a judgment. Warm or cold, safe or threatening. This is not politeness. This is not manners. This is a reflex older than language itself. Psychologist Alexander Todorov at Princeton spent years studying exactly this reflex. In his research, people were shown unfamiliar faces for just 1/10 of a second, barely enough time to register a shape, let alone a personality. And yet, every single time, they produced confident judgments about trustworthiness, faster than thought, faster than reason. Todorov's work revealed something uncomfortable. The judgment doesn't wait for evidence. It arrives first, and the evidence, if it ever comes, arrives later, often only to confirm what the brain had already decided. Why would your brain be built this way? Why would it rush to judge a stranger before it has any real information at all? The answer reaches back further than cities, further than agriculture, further than almost anything you would call civilization. For most of human history, meeting a stranger was not a small social moment. It was a matter of survival. An unfamiliar face approaching your campfire might be carrying food to share, or it might be carrying a weapon. There was no time for careful analysis. There was no luxury of waiting to gather more facts. A slow decision could cost a life. A fast decision, even an imperfect one, kept you alive long enough to make the next one. So evolution did what it always does. It built a shortcut. Not a perfect tool, but a fast one. Your ancestors who hesitated, who weighed every angle before reacting to an unknown face, were sometimes the ones who didn't survive the encounter. The ones who reacted instantly, who trusted their gut, often did. That instinct didn't disappear when humans began building villages, then towns, then cities full of people you would never personally know. It simply kept running, deep in the architecture of your mind, completely unaware that the stakes had changed. Here is where it gets stranger. The shortcut your brain uses isn't actually reading character, it's reading shape. Researchers have found that faces which resemble expressions of happiness, faces with naturally upturned mouths or relaxed brows, get rated as more trustworthy almost automatically. Faces with naturally lowered brows, faces that resemble anger even at complete rest, get rated as less trustworthy, regardless of the person behind them. None of this has anything to do with someone's actual honesty. It has everything to do with which emotion their resting face accidentally resembles. This means your brain isn't really judging people. It's pattern matching faces against emotional templates it learned to recognize before you could even speak. A face shaped like calm gets treated like calm is a personality trait. A face shaped like anger gets treated like anger is a permanent truth about who someone is. You are not seeing trustworthiness. You are seeing a resemblance and mistaking the resemblance for proof. Psychologist Nalini Ambady at Tufts University uncovered something that makes this even more dramatic. In her studies on what she called thin slicing, people watched silent video clips of teachers, just a few seconds long, with no sound and no context. From these few seconds alone, observers produced ratings of competence and warmth that closely matched evaluations given by students who had spent an entire semester with that same teacher. A few seconds of expression, a semester of real experience, nearly the same conclusion. Think about what that means. Your brain isn't waiting for the full story before deciding what kind of person someone is. It's extracting a verdict from the smallest possible amount of information, and that verdict is sticking, shaping how you treat someone before you've earned the right to truly know them. There's a deeper layer to this, and it lives in the muscles of the face itself. Psychologist Paul Ekman spent decades studying the small, involuntary movements faces make. What he called micro-expressions, flashes of genuine emotion lasting less than half a second, often contradicting whatever expression someone is consciously trying to project. Ekman's research suggested that some part of the human brain is built to catch these flickers, even when the conscious mind never notices them happening. So when you meet someone and feel an inexplicable unease, a sense that something is off, even though you can't say what, you might actually be picking up on a micro-expression your conscious mind never registered. Your gut isn't always wrong. Sometimes it's reading real signals, just signals too fast and too small for your thinking mind to catch up to. The unsettling truth is that you often can't tell the difference between this kind of accurate intuition and the kind of biased, shape-based guessing that has nothing to do with truth at all. Both feel exactly the same. Both feel like certainty. This certainty is the real danger, not the speed of the judgment, but the confidence that rides alongside it. You don't experience these split-second verdicts as guesses. You experience them as knowledge. And once your brain labels something as knowledge, it becomes very difficult to talk yourself out of it, even when the evidence later proves you wrong. Consider how this plays out in your own life, right now, in a world your ancestors could never have imagined. A hiring manager glances at a resume photo for half a second and unconsciously favors a face that resembles calm over a face that resembles intensity, despite both candidates having identical qualifications. A juror looks at a defendant's face and feels a pull toward guilt or innocence before a single piece of evidence has been presented. A swipe on a dating app, a click on a video thumbnail, a decision to sit next to one stranger on a train instead of another. All of it, shaped by the same ancient circuitry built around campfires that no longer exist, judging threats that are no longer there. What makes this especially strange is the mismatch between the world this instinct was built for and the world you actually live in now. Your ancestors only ever needed to judge faces in real, immediate, physical encounters. A small number of decisions, each one tied to genuine danger. You now make this judgment dozens, sometimes hundreds of times a day, scrolling through faces on a screen, judging people you will never stand in front of, never speak to, never have the chance to be proven wrong by. The instinct hasn't slowed down to match this new scale. If anything, it fires more often than it ever has in human history, on stakes that are often nothing at all. There is something almost humbling in realizing this about yourself. The feeling of, I just know I can trust this person, is not wisdom. It is not even really about that person. It is a reflex shaped over hundreds of thousands of years, optimized for survival around fires and within small tribes, now firing constantly in a world of billions of unfamiliar faces it was never designed to handle. The confidence you feel is real. The accuracy behind that confidence is not guaranteed. So the next time you meet someone new, and feel that instant, wordless verdict arrive before they've even finished their first sentence, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself where that feeling actually came from. Was it something they did? Something they said? Or was it simply the shape of their brow, the curve of their mouth, an ancient pattern match running quietly beneath your awareness, mistaking a stranger's resting face for the truth of who they are? You walked into that room full of strangers, certain you already knew who to trust. The real answer is that you never knew anything about them at all. You only knew the shape of their face, and the oldest, fastest part of your mind convinced you that shape was the same thing as truth.